zone, on the road to the Super Bowl. Every game on the schedule crucial, it take a toll. It don't matter if we at home or on the road. You try to tackle, I'll truck a sucker and take it so. I'm staring at 4th and goal, gotta find an open hole. A linebacker just close a hole where I'm supposed to go. So now I'm thinking my centers are all pro, so I trust he can make a waffle wherever the ball go. Yeah, there's 5 seconds on the play clock. The crowd was loud, but they stopped. Now it's silent while they watch. They stand off in the red zone. All I see is red home. Watch me get this touchdown and this W and head home.
Hey, 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 hey. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Week 3 Game Day Live, presented by Underdog Fantasy. I am one of your hosts, Will Skywalker, still joined, as always, by my brother from another mother.
What's up, brother?
Jesse Holley, a.k.a. Mr. 4th and Long. How does it, bro?
Man, I am excited about this game tonight. This is, as a former player, you enjoy playing Monday Night Football. You enjoy playing Sunday Night Football because you're the only game on TV. It is nerve-wracking to have to wait all day to play. And for us, this is waiting all day to get to the pregame show. Yeah. So waiting all day, trying to kill time, getting to this moment. So I'm as anti now as I was as a player. Like, you're trying to take naps, keep busy, do things, and I'm just ready to get this thing rocking and rolling. We're here.
Man, listen, after the show this morning, I'm just sitting here. I told my lady, I was like, I'm so bored. I done pressed my jeans. I got it laid out like it's the first day of school. You know, I got the sneakers sitting at the bottom. I got my undershirt, the shirt, got the chain. I said, nah, no chain today. I didn't know what to do. I was so dang on board, man. But we finally made it here, and I'm excited for it just because I'm excited for Cowboys football, no matter what's going on around the team. And it's Monday Night Football. Not a fan of primetime games as a fan, but as a player, you said this is exciting. And come on, man. It's Cowboys. It's Monday night. It's a rivalry game. You go on the road. This is a big, big game. Believe it or not, I know it's week 3, but it's the Cowboys' first NFC East game. They're 0-1 in the NFC. They got to come out here, and they got to play like, hey, listen, there is no tomorrow. I know it's early in the season, but you only get 17 of these things.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the one thing I always say about NFC East games, and I know records and I know how teams are playing or how not teams are playing, it's always a difficult game to win because when teams are building their rosters, they're building their rosters to win their division. That is the first and foremost of when they're putting together their rosters. How can we build a roster to defeat the other 3 teams in our division? And so when you're playing against the Giants, you're playing against the Commanders, you're playing against Philadelphia, those teams have now built their units and their rosters to defeat you. And the Cowboys are the defending NFC East champions, so everything now is coming at them. So when you look at this Giants roster, you're looking at it, you're saying, wow, a lot of those pieces look like the pieces that would try to stop what we do best for the Dallas Cowboys. And that's what makes these games so difficult because you play them twice a year. They know you, you know them. It's you can't get away from it. And so tonight's going to be a really, really, really fun game. It's going to be hard fought, but I enjoy these matchups because I know from a player's perspective how difficult it is to win matchups against your division rivals.
And there's pieces to both of those rosters that will not be available tonight and will be available tonight. So first up in the game day catch-up, we're talking about these inactives for the Cowboys. And obviously Dak Prescott's one of them. Nashawn Wright's going to be out. Jaron Kearse, Luke Gifford popped up on the injury report the other day. He's going to be out. Connor McGovern is going to be out. But I think the 2 names that are a bit surprising, well, one is surprising. The other one is not so much a surprise, is Michael Gallup, which is a surprise to me, and Dalton Schultz, who dealt with the PCL thing. He's out. First of all, Michael Gallup, we thought he was going to play this week. He was practicing. We're hearing that he just needed an extra week of practice to trust himself. Kind of your thoughts on not having Michael Gallup tonight.
You know what? I am kudos to Britt Brown and company. Kudos to Michael Gallup for understanding. I know he's chomping at the bits. I know he wants to get back out there. I know he wants to help his football team. But you got to think the long play, right? If we've seen a guy like Godwin who's rushed back from an injury and then suffered another injury trying to get back, and now you've hurt your team far longer than you would want to because you wanted to rush to get back. And for Michael Gallup, it's it doesn't make him less than. It makes him actually smarter to say and get with Britt Brown and Jim Maurer, the head trainers and the head rehab guy, and say, hey, guys, I think one more week and I'm there. I think one more week and I'm going to fully trust myself to go 100 miles an hour. That helps him. That also helps his football team, because what I don't want is that you believe that he's in there to go 100% and he's questioning himself.
Yeah.
And that internal battle at times can come up, because what happens if he breaks open, he's throwing the ball, and he's not mentally there to catch it? Now you're like, well, dang, I wanted to go there, but he's not mentally into it. So that's the big part about coming back from an injury, is having that mental reassurance that I can go out here and be who I am 100% and not have to think about the injury or the effects from the injury while I'm playing the game of football.
And I'm just sitting here as you're talking about this. I'm wondering if him being secure with the Cowboys long term is another reason why. Because think about this for a second. If he's playing for a contract.
Oh, yeah. That's different. Different story. Different story.
He's rushing back out
Different
there.
story.
He got him signed for 5 years. Yeah, this funny money in regards to years for football. But nonetheless, 5-year contract, you don't have to rush him back. That was always my thing, period. That's why I kind of thought he should have been on IR. What is the rush? What is the rush to rush him back? Because you got him long term. So I'm glad. In a way, I'm with you here. Take your time. If you don't feel ready, then why should I throw you out there and end up interception? Because you don't trust yourself. And I'm glad you brought up mental. Talking to former players yourself and listening to other former players, they always talk about the mental hurdle coming back from a serious injury like that, more than physical, because you're doing everything to get physically right. I'm sure he's physically right, but he might not be mentally ready to do certain things. Another guy that's out today, we just talked about Dalton Schultz. Are we downplaying Dalton Schultz being out this week? And this is why I'm asking this. Cowboys like to run 12. They should run a lot of 12, being a running team. Going on the road, you're going to be relying on 2 rookie tight ends now against and we'll get to Wink a little bit later in the second block of the show, against a defense that likes to do a lot of things and put pressure on your front. We like Peyton Hendershot. We like Jake Ferguson. But then there's the real football stuff that happens on the field. And I'm going to be honest with you. I think I have been downplaying this Dalton Schultz thing until now he's officially out, and I'm like, uh-oh. Am I downplaying this? Is this a significant loss?
This is significant for a number of reasons. Again, you're still dealing with a spotty offensive line. So communication is paramount. And now when you're adding another rookie into the mix, now you're talking about having communications with guys. And if you're going to play, Big Boy tonight and Peters.
Oh, we get to that, yeah.
So if you're going to play him and now Tyler Smith and now a rookie, that now puts your offensive line in that same spot of, snap counts. Can I do multiple snap counts now? When I make a kill call, does everybody know what the kill call is? When we're passing off games, does everybody know what's happening? And for the thing about Dalton Schultz is he's a reliable pass catcher. When all else fails, I know for sure with Dak Prescott, he was a guy who was right there available to him for those 8, 9, 10-yard passes that you can kind of extend drives with. So not having him as another rookie into the mix, blocking scheme, a rookie that hasn't played on Monday Night Football, that hadn't played against the Giants, so all these things play into the game. How many snaps is he going to play? Is he going to play the amount that Dalton Schultz would have played in the personnel? And all these things that you want to do from a pass-catching perspective and a blocking perspective comes into play when you add a rookie to that mix. So not having Dalton Schultz definitely kind of puts a little bit of a hiccup in what you want to do up front and what you want to do in the passing game.
Yeah, I think I did downplay it, but here's what I'm hoping is that they come out here and they try to establish the run, and that helps get your tight ends, knock off some of that rust, knock off some of that nervousness. Let's be completely honest here. These guys are human. This is their first Monday Night Football game, first road game, too, by the way. The lights are going to be bright, and let's see if they can handle it. You touched on very briefly, the big fella has been activated tonight. Jason Peters will be playing. The question becomes where, which that answer may have already been given to us earlier per reports. He's going to be playing some guard. Here's what I don't know. Maybe the chat knows. Maybe we can find it out here on Twitter. Is he starting? Or are we going to get this weird musical chairs thing where he gets a few snaps here and there? And I want you to tell the people and me why that may not be a good idea tonight. If you're going to, when I say good idea, I mean hey, Forniak, you'll get 3 snaps, then we're going to put in Peters for 3, then we're going to put in Forniak for 3. I don't think that's a good idea, Jesse.
No. First of all, where are you going to play him? Are you going to play him at left tackle or are you going to play him at left guard? And if the reports are true and they're going to play him at left guard, I believe you tweeted out this stat a couple of weeks ago. You said that Jason Peters at left tackle has played over 12,000 snaps.
12,000.
At left guard, he's played 1. That tells you all that you need to know about that right there. Over 12,000 at left tackle, 1 at left guard. And he's 40 years old. I know that he's been ramping up to do these things. But, again, when you're talking about offensive lineman movement, is he a pulling guard, right? Now, if a pulling tackle or doing something from a tackle perspective is different when you got to pull down from a guard. Does that symmetry line up? Is he kicking out with the right foot? Is he kicking out with the left foot? How is he getting down the line? What blocking schemes is he doing? So all those things play a part on giving this guy reps. The second part is he's on a pitch count. And now I don't know personally how you do a pitch count with offensive linemen. It's might be one of the most idiotic things ever. Either he's playing or he's not.
Now, I will say this. A pitch count, the only thing I can think of realistically if you're not going to be in and out at guard is if you go jumbo, right? Instead of 3 tight ends, you throw in an extra lineman. We see teams do that, or goal line. But that's the only thing that makes sense.
But that's not pitch count. That's
you're forcing it in a way, right?
That is just, hey, that's package play.
Package, right.
Hey, in these packages, you're going to be in there in the jumbo. You're going to be in there in the goal line. Then he knows that when they get, 10 yards and in, that goal line area, here's my opportunities. But if you're talking about, hey, this series you're going to go in that left guard, and then the next series you're going to come out. Because as an offensive lineman, what you do throughout the game is you pick up keys. Yeah. You hear things. You're seeing how things are working. You're getting a rhythm on how strong this guy is, how fast this guy is. Okay, what is his first move? What is his counter move? So you're working through all these things throughout the game. First quarter, it's like a boxing match. When you watch a prize fight, it's always that first 2 rounds. They're kind of just like, all right, I'm not doing it. Oh, okay, I'm testing the speed. I might get a hit. Oh, okay, there's the power I knew about. There's the speed I knew about. Then once you get into those rounds of 5, 6, 7, 8, now that thing is picked up,
right,
and you've kind of already got your feel. That's what offensive linemen do. They figure out, okay, okay, he's fast, he's strong. He like this one. Like by the third and fourth quarter, I've got a beat on him. Hell, he might have a beat on me. But now we're battling on an even playing field. This whole subbing in and out thing, I don't get it. I don't understand it. But this is why I'm sitting here with you, and I'm not on the sideline.
I mean, we saw this last year. They did this in the Raiders game. They had Connor Williams and Khalil Collins swapping in for McGovern and Terrence Steele. It was a mess.
Yes.
It was a mess. And they eventually just settled on the latter portion of the guys. I'm looking at this as I'm hoping it's what we talked about, the packages, right? And I said this on my show. I don't mind him going in there and getting a few snaps just to get hit because he is 40 years old, see how he feels, get 5 snaps in the jumbo sets, in the goal lines or whatnot. You got to get to the goal line, though. Yeah. You got to get there. But in those sets, I don't mind that. But tonight will be the night. Tonight's not the night that you put him in there and swap him in and out at guard against a guy who's going to try to throw so many things at you and stress out the communication of your offensive line. So
you're absolutely right. And that's the biggest thing, right? It's that communication on the offensive line. You already have your backup quarterback, and I know what Cooper Rush did in the first game, but there's film out now.
Oh, yeah.
People have seen what he's done. People have seen what he doesn't do well. Like, you can say what you want about the Bengals game, and they won that game, absolutely. There were 3 or 4 times in that game that Cooper Rush should have been picked off.
100%.
Easy. And so that's on film. That is on film. And so now people are going to try to rush the rush, but to get him to operate at a faster pace. And what you want up front is you want a communication to be so clear and so sound that at least you have that protection so that he's not sped up quicker than he has to be and make those same inaccurate throws and those down go from dropped interceptions to caught interceptions.
Well, put a pin in that one because we're going to revisit this Rush versus, I call it Kellen and Rush versus Wink and Julian Love. That's the guy who was out there doing a lot of that stuff. So we're going to revisit that. But I'd be remiss if we didn't start this entire thing talking about one Micah Parsons,
Yes.
who will be available. And I'm going to need the communication with this son to get with me because this
not
thing
working
is
on your favor.
not helping me right now. I am blinded right now. I cannot see y'all. But it is what it is. We're going to fight through it. Micah Parsons, excuse me, speaking of, trying to get through stuff, Micah Parsons had to get through a lot to play today in front of one Lawrence Taylor, who I think we both agree is the greatest defensive player of all time.
And he's a Tar Heel. Just want to put that out there.
Of course.
Just want to put that
Let
out
me tell
there.
you, y'all don't understand how.
I just want to put that out there.
Jesse met a Tar Heel week one,
Listen.
and he ain't watched the game, y'all. I'm just tell y'all right now. Whatever he was talking about at the post-game show, he lying. He wasn't. Shout out to, was it Miss Pope? Shout out to Miss Pope.
Yes.
But yes, former alumni Tar Heel,
Yes.
former New York Giant Hall of Fame, greatest defensive player of all time, is going to be in attendance today to check out one Micah Parsons, who has 4 sacks after 2 games, is on pace for 34, and I don't think it's a far stretch to get 30. I'm sorry.
34 is a lot of sacks,
It's
bruh.
just 2 again. Look, it's just 2. Like that's
It's
just
just 2.
easy.
Someone said the other day, like, oh, he'll get 2 now. I'm like, I don't think y'all understand how hard it is to get 2 sacks in a game.
Not the Micah Parsons. But listen, he is playing through something, and I'm pretty sure he'll disclose it after the game today. And he got the treatment. He's feeling better. He missed practice, though, he missed 2 practices this week. And he posted that little Jordan meme, right? Did you see that?
Yes.
The little Jordan
Yes.
flu game meme. If there was anybody on this planet Earth that I think could have a Jordan flu game, it's Micah Parsons, man. And to talk about Micah's matchup today, and honestly, in a more serious note, where do you think they should play him given the team they're playing? Because I don't think it's cut as dry as we think.
Before we get into that, let me read a quote.
Yeah,
from
read the LT.
Let me read the great LT.
And I'm going to see if Nick can go ahead and block this. Get this thing over here.
This is a huge matchup for Micah Parsons. Of course, this defense and this team goes as Micah Parsons goes. Like, he is Dak Prescott included. Let me repeat myself. Dak Prescott included. Micah Parsons is the best football player on the Dallas Cowboys.
100%.
Hands down, 100%.
100%.
So, of course, the comparisons have been there, right? LT, Micah Parsons, LT. You think he's on pace for 34 sacks? That's fine. But LT had this to say about the great Micah Parsons. He says, I don't know who the best defensive player is. All I know is I'm always on the last page of the last paragraph of the last sentence when they say the greatest of all time. LT told that to the New York Post. He also said, until somebody tells me different, I own it. So he's saying, until someone tells me different, I am still the greatest defensive player of all time. And he says, I haven't really watched Micah Parsons. And I don't think that's a Giants Cowboys thing. He hasn't watched him. I just think LT's playing golf all day
I'm
long.
about to say, LT don't give a damn about the
He don't give a damn about football. I think he's playing golf all. Him and OJ, they playing golf all day long. They're playing golf all day long. But LT did say, he goes, but I will see tonight.
Yeah.
LT will be in attendance tonight, and that has to be some sort of pressure for Micah Parsons to look over there. At some point in time, they're going to have a moment. They're going to have a moment in pregame where LT's on the sideline and Micah Parsons. I would hope that they have a moment of just, hey, how you doing? I'm Micah Parsons. Hey, how you doing? I'm Lawrence Taylor. But to have the eyes of someone who everyone compares you to, and that someone being the greatest defensive player of all time, that is something that is unique. But Micah coming into this game, missed 2 days of practice, and I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. I think he's good enough to miss days of practice. I really, really, really do. And to answer your question, you line them up everywhere.
Okay.
You continue the trend that you've done. That's why I wasn't a fan of him solely lining up at defensive end, because now I can play for him.
Yeah, and that's what DQ said.
I can play for. If you line him up at the left end every single time, I go, okay, all right, now we're going to have a back to that side. We have a tight end to that side. We'll roll to that side, whatever it is. But it's like one of those DBs when they break the huddle and they're start coverage. They break the huddle, and then they find out where the number 1 guy is at, and then they go follow him.
That's my man.
I think for Micah Parsons, it's when he break the huddle, then he goes and line up. So you can't have a beat on him. One of the greatest not the greatest, but one of the best offseason signings was signing Anthony Barr. allowed you to have a middle linebacker who was competent, who was a damn good player, and can hold down that middle while you just deploy Micah Parsons all over the football field and let him create havoc on any and every offensive lineman that they put out there.
That's a fantastic segue to Anthony Barr. I think today, Barr, Micah, and LVE, I would love to see them on the field a lot because they're going to be going up against an offense that relies on one. I mean, let's just be honest. One man, Saquon Barkley. This offense goes through Saquon Barkley, whether it's good or bad. And listen, all due respect to all quarterbacks in the National Football League, Daniel Jones does nothing for me. Now, and I told y'all this all week. If he comes out here, throws for 300, and he makes game-winning plays, all this stuff, I own it. I eat crow. But I'm just going off of what I've seen. He does absolutely nothing for me. And I look at the Giants' offense, and I'm looking at Saquon Barkley. I'm looking at Andrew Thomas. I have no idea. I don't know if Kadarius Toney's going to play today.
Think he's out today.
Yeah, he was dinged up. Looking at Sterling Shepard. But their offensive line is not the greatest. Right, so they don't really do anything at a high level from an offensive line standpoint, but it doesn't matter. Saquon will go -3, 1, 3, 2, 68.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you just have to be able to contain that big play, and I said just don't let him score on the big play. If Saquon busts one for 45 yards, as long as it's not inside the one, then you give your defense a chance, right? So I feel like they're going to have to contain Saquon Barkley, contain the edges, and wrap up. And I would like to do that with a little bit of Micah Parsons in the middle of the field, early downs, and then when you get him in those third and longs or third and whatever's, sick him. Go get him.
Yeah, because one thing you talked about with Micah Parsons, and he calls it, he's the lion, so he calls it the pride.
Yeah.
The pride is going to have to come today. It can't be these one-man tackling shows because Saquon is a back that has incredible contact balance. And what I mean by contact balance is when the hit is coming to Saquon, he has such strong lower body and such great balance that he's able to absorb the hit and run through it.
Yeah.
And from any angle that it may come. So having that contact balance, which Saquon Barkley really has well, being able to do that jump cut like we've seen Zeke do for many years and hit through that hole, and he has home run speed. The pride is going to have to tackle him. It's going to have to be 10, 11 guys in on the tackle with Saquon Barkley, wear him down so that he's not as explosive when it comes to the fourth quarter. But one of the things that Brian Daboll has done really well with Daniel Jones is, because we've seen Daniel Jones in the past, he says, I'm going to limit the opportunities for you to turn the football over.
That's a good point.
And that's the thing that the Cowboys have to know, that the opportunities that were there before may not be there now because Daniel Jones is not throwing the ball 45 times a game.
Or he's not throwing it downfield.
He's not throwing it downfield. He's 71% completion percentage because everything is coming out of his hands really quick, really fast, really short.
It's really short, yeah.
Because the whole thing is that as long as we're not taking negative plays with Daniel Jones, which be interceptions or holding the ball too long, creating strap fumbles, anything forward is positive. And we're okay with the punt because, like the Cowboys, the Giants are relying on their defense as well. So they're saying if we punt the ball, we have confidence that our defense will be able to at least bend but don't break.
Let me pose this question to you. If you were the Cowboys secondary, Anthony Brown, Jordan Lewis, whoever else plays besides Diggs, do you get a little aggressive today? Because Kadarius Toney's out. That's really their big play. Galladay's not really a part of this scenario. He's kind of in the doghouse with those boys. And they got a bunch of guys out there. No offense, I don't know all of their names. I think it's like Keith Jackson. I'm probably saying the wrong name.
Richie James.
Richie James. That's his name. Richie James and Sills. And these dudes are in the NFL, so I don't want to disrespect them.
But I disrespect them, go ahead.
As I disrespect.
Go ahead.
Look, no disrespect. No disrespect to Rick James.
Yeah.
These guys don't instill fear. This passing offense doesn't instill fear. Hey, how you doing? We're doing good. Cowboys are playing tonight. They don't really instill fear. So is this a game where if I'm Diggs, I'm like, all right, I ain't got to pick yet. You know what I mean? This guy don't scare me over the top. My pass rush gets home. I can't be as aggressive against Jamar Chase. I can't be as aggressive against Julio Jones, against Mike Evans. I got to kind of pick my spots here. I mean, I feel like this is a game where AB or Diggs or J. Lou, somebody has a chance to go ahead and get one of these things because Daniel Jones, while he might not throw it deep, he still got to throw it out there.
Right. No. See, the thing is, and if you're talking about Diggs having that mentality, I'm okay with it. You can't have a secondary all thinking the same thing because what ends up happening is, no disrespect, Anthony Brown, you're not Trayvon Diggs.
You're not Trayvon, no. J. Lou,
you're not Trayvon Diggs. None of you have the ball skills that he has. None of you have the anticipation that he has. So what I don't want is for y'all to be in the huddle like, yo, tonight we're going to go get one, be aggressive, go get it, and then y'all get beat. See, he has the ability because he has that instinct. He has this superior talent than you other two. Yeah. So if he's doing it, then I'm okay with that. But what I can't have is I can't have an entire secondary think, oh, we're going to go get picks galore because we're playing against Daniel Jones. And next thing you know, you're going to misjudge it. And even if it's a slant or a hitch or a 10-yard out or whatever it may be, even if you misjudge that and all of a sudden now that thing is caught and he's gone.
Yeah.
So, yes, I agree that there should be a little bit more of aggressiveness, but not everybody gets that. Not everybody gets that leash. Everybody don't get that much room on their leash to be aggressive. That is reserved for Trayvon Diggs. But the rest of y'all, I need y'all to play assignment sound football, tackle what's in front of you. Now, if he throws it to you, go get it.
Yeah.
But all that guessing and all that kind of stuff, don't do that because we don't want to give up the opportunity for them to make a big play when we should have been there. Just made a tackle.
And that's one of the things that they did a fantastic job with last week against Joe Burrow. They did not give up the big play. Mm-hmm. They adjusted so well from week 1 to week 2. Week 1, they gave up a couple big shots, right? And they were getting gashed on the outside. Their alignments weren't right. They weren't filling in the run game. They weren't containing the edges. Week 2, that all changed. They didn't give up the big play. They made the Bengals have to matriculate down the field, and hopefully they make a mistake. Instead of making a mistake, Micah just would sack him or Dorrance Armstrong or Fowler or somebody would get to the quarterback. I feel like Quinn doesn't have to really reach into his bag too deep today and leave himself vulnerable. I feel like your defensive line has the advantage against that offensive line. I feel like your cornerbacks and safeties have the advantage in their passing game. I feel like if he plays it like he normally plays it here, one of them ones, which is Diggs, probably only one that needs to play that way. Like, I can get extra aggressive. Everybody else, just let it come to you. So
and I think in the middle of that defense, when you're talking about, Osa and that crew, I think they still need to prove themselves. I think because you're going to get a heavy dose of, and if the Giants are susceptible anywhere, it's in the middle of their offensive line. They got 2 really good bookend tackles who are young and talented. I think a lot of where they give up a lot of their give up the ghosts is in the middle of that offensive line. So they still have to be sound because, like you said earlier, Saquon's coming.
Oh yeah,
and the film has been out with the Cowboys. Even if you watch the second half of that Bengals game, the Bengals said, "Okay, we're going to just run the football." And they were effective essentially in running the football, trying to be physical, trying to get the ball downhill to try to open up something down the field later on. But they decided they were going to run the football, and that's when they went on that 19-play drive.
Yeah, but I can't be mad at the defense. They converted 2 4th downs on there and got a bullcrap penalty.
But that's what the NFL has become now. Yeah. Analytics have said that it's better for me to go for it on 4th down in those situations than it is to punt it. So I'm not surprised when teams go for it on 4th down because everyone's into the analytics, and the analytics say, if it's 4th and 1 or whatever the yardage may be, to go for it. But that doesn't. A 19-play drive is a 19-play drive.
It happened, yeah.
And that's over 8 minutes of your defense being on the football field. So you got to be able to
Joe Burrow and Chase and Boyd and you know what I mean.
I get what you're saying, but they committed to running the football at that time. The Giants are going to commit to running the football, like you just said. -1, -2, 3 yards, 4 yards, 68 yards.
That's what you got. I feel like that's what you just got to be careful with is Saquon getting one off on you for 30, 40, 50, 60 yards. Other than that, I live with Saquon Barkley. Bro, I hope they run the ball 30 times. For real?
Yeah.
Honestly, I actually feel good about this run defense this week because, like you said, the middle of that
I hope
run
they
defense
don't run the ball 30 times again.
There are caveats to that. If they are running at 30, that means they're probably close.
They're probably close.
Winning.
Exactly.
This is true. This is very, very true. And also probably means that the Cowboys aren't getting out.
Right.
But what I mean is I don't fear – I know this sounds crazy because Saquon is Saquon. But even if you watch his 2 big runs against Tennessee, I think both of them were against Tennessee. Old Saquon's scoring on both of those runs.
Mm-hmm.
I think his injuries have caught up to him. He's still strong. He's not as quick as he used to be. He still can bounce off tackles. Just don't let him finish. Like, if you don't let him finish, I just feel so good about this defense against this Daniel Jones-led offense, this suspect offensive line, these suspect wide receivers. Just don't let Saquon bust one open and get you and score a touchdown.
No, I'm not sitting here saying I'm afraid of Saquon. I'm just saying that there still has to be
the interiors. Go back to the interior. The interior has to play.
They have to show up because, again, this interior, when you look at it, has been the interior for the last couple years. And there are moments in time when we can go back and say, man, look what that team did to us in the run game. Look what this team did to us in the run game. Look what that team did to us in the run game. So there are more instances of that defensive line up front, and this is with Micah Parsons and without Micah Parsons, of that defensive line in the middle particularly that have given up.
Yeah, I mean,
large amounts of
week 1. Like I said, week 1 was not a great defense from a run game standpoint. Then week 2, they corrected themselves. Joe Mixon's not a slouch. Had 1,200 yards last year. Only averaged 3 yards per carry in that game. We did get good news from the inactives. We saw that Quentin Bohanna was on the injury list with a neck.
Yeah,
that would have been a hurt piece if Quentin Bohanna, because he's been playing some good ball. And it ain't Bohanna his fault in week 1. I mean, they were running to the outside, getting a lot of those yards. But Bohanna is a big difference in the middle there, and he's playing a lot more nose tackle. So I'm excited to see him out there. Let's kind of switch things, though, over to the other side of the ball, where I don't think I've actually given enough attention to that, because I'm so excited about this defense.
Yes,
and like Parsons.
As you should.
And looking at the matchup, and I'm like, man, I think the defense can single-handedly take this thing. But that's not always the case. Your offense is going to have to get some points, as we seen last week. The first 2 possessions, they came out and they scored 2 touchdowns, and they really didn't do anything into the last possession of the game. But again, we had mentioned it at the top of the show, Wink Martindale versus Kellen Moore. Mm-hmm. I think that is the chess match that we're going to see today. We talked about this on the Cowboys 4th and Long about Wink, and I was so excited when you brought him up first, because I'm like, okay, I ain't the only one who's a fan of Wink Martindale and what he does. But go ahead and give kind of the people a little bit of rundown on what makes his defenses difficult to prepare for, honestly.
Because you don't know where he's coming from. I think that is the biggest thing with Wink, is that he's not afraid to send the blitz. He's going to send the blitz.
Yeah.
And you just don't put it like this. It's not if he's going to send the blitz. It's
how.
When and how he's going to send it. Because he's sending it.
Yeah.
That is for sure. And he sends it from safety depth. He sends it from cornerback depth. He sends it from linebackers. He has twists and stunts going on. And that's key when you're talking about adding offensive linemen, adding tight ends to that mix. When he does a lot of those stunts and those twists up front with his defensive line, that communication has to be there. I can't have 2 guys chasing the D tackle who now went up the field, and here comes that defensive end, Kayvon Thibodeau or whoever, coming down this way. Or now you blitz the linebacker.
Safety, yeah.
Safety. Wink is going to blitz you. He is going to hurry you. He's going to make you uncomfortable. Now, if you hit him, here's the thing. Even if you hit him in the head, he's still coming. He's going to come all day long. And when you have a quarterback like Cooper Rush, who is, I know he's 2-0 in his 2 games that he started. He's still inexperienced, and I think he's going to see a lot of different looks today.
This will be the first time he will have seen this type of defense, so it'll be a litmus test for Cooper Rush today, who is not a dumb quarterback.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
No.
He can identify what's coming in front of him. The problem is the whole system of Wink is so that you can't identify it. He'll show you the same 7-man front. And next thing you know, it looks like cover 1. It looks like man. He's dropping back into cover 2, and then you got a man over here in zone here, dropping back a defensive end. He's dropping back a linebacker. He prides himself on, okay, I'm not going to show that same look the next play or the next 2 plays. I'll save it for the 4th. Or it's going to be a big test for Cooper Rush today. And not just Cooper, but Kellen. It's going to be very paramount for Kellen Moore not to put Cooper Rush into dangerous situations. Those little pitches you kept doing to Ezekiel Elliott on first down when the tosses to Tony Pollard were working, or you're pulling with your tackles and pulling with your guards was working in the C gap. You do that, and you get into 2nd and 15. You get into 3rd and 10. Now we're really going to see what Cooper Rush is about.
Right.
Because this is a different ball game, I think, than what you saw last week, where we kept looking at each other like, I mean, they're going to play this straight-up man defense. I mean, yeah, it's just 1, 2, 3. Here's the read. Just make sure you get it there. He did a fantastic job at doing that. It wasn't until they start dropping back in zone where things got a little bit shoddy, and that front started to get some pressure on him, right? They send that 5th rusher, and it started getting some pressure. Well, best believe there will be 5, 6 rushers coming.
Yep.
It's just a matter of how. And I called it, I think we dubbed it organized chaos on the podcast. That's what it's going to be.
Yes.
It's going to be organized chaos. He gave Baker Mayfield trouble with that last week.
And that's what he wants. He wants you to have to think another second. I want you to, because I want you to think I want you to think you know what you saw, and then when you get to the top of your drop, you say, oh, that's not what I saw.
Now I got to go the other way, but by that time,
the rush is there.
yes.
And so he wants you to pump one time or, oh, snap, or not, oh, and now here comes the rush, or whatever it is, or you're throwing the ball out of bounds. He wants to rush up your process. He wants you to see one thing and it actually be another thing. He wants you to he wants you to see ghosts. And, they'll drop guys in the coverage. They'll drop defensive ends in the coverage. They'll drop linebackers in the coverage. So you have to be careful those guys playing those, what they call the rats, or playing those holes where you thought it was there, the droppers into those holes, and you thought it was there. You go, oh, and next thing you know, that joker he didn't backed off on it, and now he's tipping it, tip drills, intercepts, all that kind of stuff that Wink wants to do. He wants to cause, as you said, I want to cause organized chaos, mass confusion. I want you to be on your heels even when you're in the mode of attacking.
And it's not just the quarterback. This kind of goes back to the top of the show. The offensive line, man. I can't stress this enough. The communication on the front is going to be paramount. Because here's the beautiful thing about it. You gave me this, and I've been using it ever since. There is an answer for everything, right?
Yes.
There's always an answer. You go pop on the film, in Wink's system. Maybe not every play, but in a good amount of plays, yeah, there might have been somebody that got open, but you can't get over there.
Right.
So my thing is, if the offensive line can identify, if the quarterback helps with that identification, the running back also is important.
Yes.
This might be, and we'll get to this here in a second, a Zeke game. There will be opportunities if you can pick it up. If you've got 6, here's the problem. I saw the Carolina Panthers not be able to block up 5 with 6. All because of miscommunication.
Yep.
Right? A free rusher, by the way, when you got 6 guys. That's unheard of. You're supposed to be able to block that up. So if they're able to catch it, block it up, and give Cooper Rush time to scan through the field, they don't have – this is a very much an X's and O's. The Jimmys and Joes on the other side, in my opinion. That's no disrespect.
That's two no disrespects, followed by complete disrespect.
Listen, man. Dory Jackson, but Xavier McKinney, Julian Love, there's some guys in the secondary, but come on, man.
But hear what you're saying. You're saying the same thing about it in reverse. Because remember you said earlier was, just don't let Saquon score, and we'll live with it.
Oh, sure.
And so we can say the same thing. He
100%
goes, even if you have an answer, as long as it doesn't result in a touchdown, I can reload and come at you again. So it's like even when I give up that moment in time, if it's not a touchdown, if you catch it for a big play, cool, and we tackle you, guess what? You got to do it all again.
Do it again. These teams are literally looking at each other
mirrors.
the same thing.
I'm telling you, they're very similar when you watch these two teams.
Backup quarterback, not the same receiving core as last year. Still figuring out the offensive line. Your coordinator ain't all that. We just got to hold him out the end zone. And to be honest with you, this offense, I know everybody thinks we did some crazy offensive thing last week, but we had 2 to 3 good drives. That's what we had. And it's currently ranked in the bottom of the league in scoring. It's currently ranked in the bottom of the league in yards. So it's not like they're going out here and they're just this explosive offense.
Right.
It's not the case. So I know Wink is looking at this like, man, as long as if I can just hold them to under 17 points and try to create some turnovers from my offense, we got a shot.
We say the same thing.
We say the same thing about them. So it's going to be a very interesting game today because when that happens, Jesse,
we got a good running back. We got a good running back.
Yeah.
They got a good running back.
Yeah.
They got some receivers that are we got some receivers that are we got a shoddy offensive line with some good players here and there. They got a shoddy offensive line with some good players here and there. I mean, it's very, very similar, man. They got a really good defensive coordinator. we had a really good
Now
defensive
watch
coordinator.
this. Now watch is about to be like 32 to 20. And the offense is just going to go berserk. No, I don't see that happening, man. I think these defenses are good enough. But on a serious note, I talked about, before I get to the Zeke's part of it, trap coverage is an organized chaos. That's something we got to stay out of. I mentioned that this morning about Cooper Rush. One of the things that a lot of people love to say about Cooper Rush is, he gets rid of the ball quick. That is true. That doesn't necessarily correlate to winning, but he does get rid of the ball the third fastest in the league. The problem with that is you miss opportunities when you get rid of the ball too fast, and you can get trapped. And Wink wants you. See, the difference last week, and I don't mean to go back, Baker Mayfield got trapped. He just didn't throw it.
Right.
He held it, scrambled. He scrambled 6 times last week, I think, 5 or 6 times, or he held it and took a sack or threw it away. Cooper Rush goes 1, 2, 3, top of the drop, boom,
Throwing it.
and he think he looking you off, like, 1, 2, 3, look off, and he's coming back and throwing it. He might have to pause a little bit on that comeback, because if you get rid of that, next thing you know, Julian Love is over there, or Xavier McKinney, or a corner. So he's kind of got to be patient at first, and I think that patience is going to have to come with Kellen Moore, getting him in a rhythm with Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. And I have here Zeke game question mark, because of blitz pickup is going to be important. And Tony Pollard, I love you, Tony, but this might not be a Tony Pollard game. Not after what I saw in week 1, where we saw them do some crazy things and get home on some blitzes. This might need to be Ezekiel Elliott game that can help you out there.
See, and that's where I always get a little bit, because people clamor and call for Tony Pollard to play in the football game.
Grass is always green.
But it's always, well, when do I know when to take Tony Pollard out, right? I don't have time in my head. As if I'm an OC, this game is moving so fast. I'm trying to get these play calls in. I can't look at my play sheet all the time and be like, is Tony Pollard going to be able to block this up? Can I put him in there? Because you're saying, if I get him the ball, it may work well. But if
he has to block.
If he has to, so it's like it's always that give and take when it has Tony Pollard of, how do I do this? Like, how do I, so for him, he has to just be all around better football player and be able to block it up.
Yeah. No doubt. And week 1 didn't help.
No.
Week 1 didn't help because they they were obliterating Matt Forniak, and then and Tony Pollard's like, I got a block shot there, and it was just, get out of here, young man. And Zeke got beat actually on 1 too, but I'd rather take my chances with Ezekiel Elliott in that case. But not only from the blocking standpoint, which might be the biggest factor, but we were talking about Cooper Rush, we're talking about Kellen Moore and things like that. We're still dealing with a backup. And when that happens, you usually want to lean on your ground game. Mm-hmm. Christian McCaffrey had 102 yards last week on 16 carries. Granted, a lot of it came on 1 carry, which was 50-something, like a 50-yarder. Oh, well. Derrick Henry had 82 yards. He averaged about 4 yards per carry. Dallas is going to need that kind of output from one of these guys, if not both of them, just because you're on the road. You're inserting a new offensive lineman. You got rookie tight ends. I don't think you want to get into a situation where Cooper Rush, is throwing the ball 35, 40 times in this game. Not against Wink Martindale.
Yeah.
I don't think you want to do it. I think you want to remain balanced, and they're soft up the middle. No Leonard Williams. I like Dexter Lawrence, but Leonard Williams is a problem.
Absolutely.
And he's not there anymore. So I think I would run a lot, and I would run a lot with Zeke, and then once they're softened up, smack them with Tony Pollard.
Sounds the same thing. We're saying the same. All we're going to do is keep saying the same thing. Like, I'm sorry, people.
Who are we talking about, the Giants or the Cowboys?
If you just tuned in, I know it sounds like we're talking about the same thing over and over and over again, but that's what these two teams are. We are literally looking at this is why I said the division is built to beat each other, and they all look the same. It looks the same. It looks the same. If you start looking at roster for roster, it's what are we trying to build? What are we trying to do to beat the other team? And it all looks kind of the same. It's all like, hey, let's have a good running game. Let's have a supporting defense. All those things are even the Commanders, they have one of the best defensive fronts. They've always wanted to build that. Now, things don't always go well for them, but same thing, look at the New York Giants. They want to have a good defensive front, have some solid linebackers. You see what we have. I mean, you see what Philadelphia has. It looks the same. If you just keep inserting it, it looks the same all across the board. So that's what makes being in the division with a team so difficult to beat, because a lot of your strengths are their strengths. A lot of your weaknesses are their weaknesses. Now, on the flip side of that, their weaknesses. You have to just go out there and be committed to doing the things on your side of the ball, whether that be offensively or defensively, to attack their weaknesses and to have those moments in time where you actually get there and get home and are successful with it. Because if not, then you know what the outcome's going to be because your team's built just like that.
100%, man. 100%. All right, let's get to this third leg here, which, of course, this is the Game Day Live presented by Underdog Fantasy, guys. And I got to get to my Week 3 pick'ems presented by Underdog Fantasy. Let me tell you about these Week 3 pick'ems. It's the easiest and, in my opinion, most fun way to spice up your football season with Underdog Fantasy Pick'em. Just look for your favorite or least favorite players, their stats. Pick whether you think they'll end up higher or lower than the total number in this week's game. In this case, it's tonight's game. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single night. Underdog keeps it simple, very simple with their easy-to-use website and mobile apps. Pick between 2 to 5 players in your pick'ems. Get all your picks right, and you take home cold, hard cash. All right, so sign up with Underdog Fantasy using the promo code ATOZ, and they'll match any deposit up to $100. Only did 3 pick'ems a day. I missed one last week.
We hitting this week, baby.
We got to hit this thing this week,
Let's
man.
go. Let's get this money.
All right, let's play high-low. High-low. Cooper Rush, higher or lower, 31.5 passing attempts. Cowboys Nation, play along. Cooper Rush, higher or low?
I'm going to go lower. I'm going to go lower. I don't think this is a 30-plus throwing performance for Cooper Rush today. I think I'm going to go lower.
Yeah, I went higher last week because we thought, oh, well, Joe Burrow and all those weapons, Matt trying to keep up. But then the defense was fantastic, and I missed about one freaking pass attempt. One. But it's cool. I got lower because I think this is going to be a heavy run game. I think they'll have success running the ball, so they won't need to throw it a whole bunch. I think you'll get some of the play action going. And Cooper Rush, I think, has the potential to be efficient in this game as long as the run is continuing to have success, which I think it will be. So I got lower. Cowboys Nation, looks like y'all got lower as well. Well, if he's lower, Ezekiel Elliott, higher or lower than 14.5 rushing attempts?
I'm gonna go higher. I think he's gonna be in the game, like you said. This is one of those Zeke type games.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna see more Zeke in this football game, at least early on. I mean, he may get 10 carries in the first 2 quarters.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go over the 14.5 for Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah, I got higher as well. He just historically does so well against the New York Giants. Now I understand this is different schemes, but guess what? He's done well against different schemes in New York. I don't know what it is about playing the Giants, and you're on the road. This isn't at home where you can do some little razzle-dazzle, double dare, reverse in the backfield.
Thank God. I hope they don't do that. Not the double
Come on,
reverse razzle-dazzle.
Razzle-dazzle,
and you're
flea
asking
flicker.
your wide receiver and tight end to block a defensive end. I mean,
Annexation to Puerto Rico. I don't think we're going to see any of that tonight, and I think they need to keep it simple, stupid here. And when we say keep it simple, you can be creative within your simplicity. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I think it's going to be a heavy dose of Ezekiel Elliott in this run game in general, man. This run game in general. My man looked like Dak Prescott in like 30 years. Like, that's crazy.
The disrespect that you laid out today, yo.
3 for 3.
Yo, I'm telling you, somebody gonna have to come see you, yo. Somebody gonna be like, hey, bro.
Hey,
let me holler at you
Rich
right quick.
James gonna be like, hey, dog, listen, I heard you talking all that.
Hey, let me holler at you for a second. People that didn't watch this show, they told me about you. Let me watch when they come play
I'm
here.
like, hey, man, you gotta go through my man.
I'm like, me? What I gotta do? No. Nah, you gotta come through me too. So
all right, my bad, Underdog.
good.
Listen, the third and final pick'em. Saquon Barkley, higher or lower than 77.5 rushing yards?
I'm gonna go higher.
Okay.
I think they're going to give a heavy dose of Saquon Barkley, both running and passing. You know what? I do feel he's gonna break one.
He usually does.
He usually does. I think he's going to break one. He's going to have a 40-yarder, 45-yarder.
That's my fear.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to score. I do think he's going to have I think he's going to break one. I think he's going to break one, and Micah Parsons is going to run him down.
Run him down.
Penn State on Penn State.
And that's why I want Micah kind of playing in the middle early. Because if Micah's playing the defensive end and Saquon goes the opposite hash, that's hard for Micah to get there while he's in the backfield.
There's nothing too hard for Micah Parsons.
You're right. I don't want to disrespect him. But if he's in the middle of the field, you got a better chance.
All right, I got you.
I actually have it lower, and that's just honestly just me so damn confident in this defense. It's just me so confident in this defense, and them probably loading up the box, not really worried about these weapons. But I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm definitely worried about him breaking one for 40, 50 yards. Not that he may score or not that, he may do that 3 times. It just takes one for me to miss out on this pick'em. So Cooper Rush lower than 31.5. I got it higher on Zeke. We are at odds on Saquon, so we'll see what happens here at the end on 77.5 rushing yards. All right, we are almost at the end here and about to start this game. Real quick, mouse in the house that you got today, Jesse, and then we'll get to our prediction.
I got the Giants' offensive line.
Yeah.
That is the mouse in the
I do
house
as
to
well.
me. I think what we saw last week with Micah Parsons and just the way that he was so disruptive against the Cincinnati Bengals, I think that continues. That doesn't stop. I think they're going to have him continually be lining up inside, outside, in the middle, blitz him, use some different formations. So for me, mouse in the house is the Giants' offensive line.
I got the offensive line as well. I'll be more specific. Evan Neal, the rookie right tackle. He's a big boy. He's like 6'5", 350. Feet are a little weird. He's young. His first primetime game
That's
against
4 disrespects today. If just Giants fans are keeping count, 4 for this guy. No disrespect though.
God.
He got weird feet. He got weird feet and a little sussy. That's 4.
He got twinkle toe.
He's sussy on the feet, y'all. That's 4 for this guy, man.
Now listen, I'm definitely gonna have to get. He about 6'5", 340. Hey, listen, Evan. I was just
playing.
Jesse.
No, don't put me in that. I'm like, hey, Evan.
Hey. When I tweet you, I think get the strap.
Get the strap. Get the strap. He like, who your man? Who with you? He like him. I'm like, nah. I don't even know him.
Hey, Evan Neal. Was that?
I don't think we can do. I guess we
can
can
we do that? I don't know.
We already did it.
Listen, we're off the rails. We're off the rails.
Yeah.
Predictions, Cowboys. What's your predictions, fam?
Oh man, I got. Where's my shades at? Nah,
I ain't putting the shades on for the night. No.
I got Cowboys winning this football game. I don't think it's going to be a very high-scoring game.
Yeah.
I got 20 to 12.
That's
20 to 12.
Interesting score.
Yeah, 4 field goals. 4 field goals for the Giants. 2012 Cowboys.
2012 Cowboys. Listen, I think Micah Parsons got LT out here, and he's going to be lined up over twinkle toes, and I just think he's going to go off, fam.
Evan Neal, be easy on my boy when you see him, though.
I do, bro. I just think he's going to go off, man. Going to have him doing the cha-cha out here. You saw what he did to Lyle.
You know people family be coming through here before they go to the game.
All right. Slide to the left.
You're going to see a bunch of Evan Neal jerseys walking in here. Then he's going to be like, hold on, Jess, you see what I'm saying? I'm like, nah, bro. Tell him what you said last week about twinkle toes. Remember you said that boy, it's going to be somebody drunk uncle. I'm like, that's the boy right there.
That's him.
That's him.
I was listening to the pregame show. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, boy.
Get the strap. I got the Cowboys. I actually got the Cowboys scoring the most points they scored this year. I know this is a good defense, man, but 23-13. Cowboys. Yeah, what's that dance they be doing? 23-13. Let me get the heck up out of here. We done off the rails, man. 23-13 for me.
23-13. I said 2012.
20-12 for Jesse, Cowboys Nation, for Jesse Holley, for your boy Skywalker. We up out of here before we get canceled by the FD, even though
we don't have no FCC out here,
got
baby.
no FCC.
We don't have no FCC out here.
Let's go, Cowboys. We will see y'all at halftime. This has been Game Day Live pregame show presented by Underdog Fantasy. We out of here. Peace.
I'm in my zone, on the road to the Super Bowl. Every game on the schedule crucial, it take a toll. It don't matter if we at home or on the road. You try to tackle, I'll truck a sucker and take it so. I'm staring at 4th and goal, gotta find an open hole. A linebacker just close a hole where I'm supposed to go. So now I'm thinking my centers are all pro, so I trust he can make a walk for wherever the ball go. Yeah, there's 5 seconds on the play clock. The crowd was loud, but they stopped. Now it's silent while they watch. They stand off in the red zone. All I see is red home. Watch me get this touchdown.